We continue now at the top of Daf Nun Tes Amud Beis in Meseches Bava Basra. This is Bava Basra Daf 59b. On the previous Amud, the Mishnah said that if there is a ziz, which is a kind of a board of wood that's protruding from the wall of the house and it's overhanging the neighbor and it protrudes a tafach, so then that's able to establish a chazaka. And the Mishnah continues, v'yachol limchos, and the neighbor is able to protest. Pachos mitafach, well, let's say it's sticking out less than a tafach, ein lo chazaka, it cannot establish a chazaka, v'ein yachol limchos, and he is not able to protest. And the Rashbam explains, v'yachol limchos, and he is able to protest. Kilomar means to say, haba lahotzi ziz tefach betchilo lechatzer chavero. If a person wants to construct this ziz, which is a tefach, into the courtyard of his friend, yachol limchos bo, bal chatzer, the owner of the chatzer, can protest. Shalol malus aver chatzer, that it shouldn't be sticking out in the airspace of his chatzer. V'lo aminon zenen v'zeino chatzer. We don't say it's a benefit to the person who's using the ziz, and the person who owns the chatzer is not losing anything anyway. We don't say that. There certainly is a loss. Kedaminan b'Gemara, like we're going to say in the Gemara, gabe ziz pachos mitafach. We're going to say this by a ziz that's less than a tefach. To migo de mishtamish bal hagag beziz, because when the owner of the roof, when he's using the ziz, roe b'chatzer, he's able to look into the chatzer. Veiga hezek re'iyah, so you have a situation of damage over here. Hezek re'iyah, he's invading the privacy of the neighbor. And the Rashbam continues, pachos mitafach ein lo chazaka. Now, if it's less than a tefach, there's no chazaka. Shem yirtza bal hachatzer live no sham bona. What it means to say is, if the owner of the chatzer wants to build over there, he's allowed to build. Mishum de lo kapit de basar mitafach lo chashav. He never cared because less than a tefach was nothing, so he's able to build over there. It can't prevent him from building what he wants. V'eino yachol limchos. Then the Mishnah said, if it's less than a tefach, he can't protest. B'gemara mefarish mi eino yachol limchos b'mi. The Gemara is going to explain who is not able to protest against whom. And the Rashbam also says, ziz, what is a ziz? Hu ke'ein neser, it's like a board of wood, or rosh kora, or like a beam, habolet min ha'ali, it sticks out from the upper floor of a house, l'chutz, it sticks outward, v'roi lislos bo chafatz, if a person's able to hang his things from this ziz, and the idea is, again, it's overhanging the airspace of the neighboring chutzer. And the Gemara says, Amar Rabbi Yasi, Amar Rabbi Moni, Rabbi Yasi says that Rabbi Moni says, v'yamilon, some have the version, Amar Rabbi Yaakov, Amar Rabbi Moni, that Rabbi Yaakov says that Rabbi Moni says, hechzik b'tefach, hechzik b'dalet. If a person has a chazaka of one tefach, he actually has a chazaka for 4 tvachim. And the Gemara says, my kamar, what does that exactly mean? What does it mean to say? Amar Abaya says, hachi kamar, this is what it's saying, hechzik rochav tefach. Let's say he has a chazaka and the item that's sticking out is the width of a tefach, b'meshach arba, but then it has a length of 4, so hechzik b'rochav arba, he gets 4 tvachim as well. And the Rashbam explains, my kamar, what does it mean to say? Demashma dehachi kamar. It sounds like it's saying as follows: Shem hechzik b'hotzo as a ziz aruch tefach. Let's say as a chazak of a ziz that's tefach long. Yachol hotzi kamo kein ziz arba. It sounds like he could do another ziz that's 4 tvachim long. The kaven hechzik b'ziz tefach. Once he gets 1 tefach, hechzik nami barba. He gets 4 tvachim. Umilsa below taimun. Now that would make no sense. Shem nisratzelo balachotzer b'tefach lo nisratzelo be'arba. Just because the balachotzer agrees to 1 tefach does not mean he's going to agree to 4 tvachim. And the Rashbam continues, hachi kamar, this is what it's saying, hechzik beziz shu rochav tefach. Let's say the ziz is a tefach wide, but orech dalet tvachim, and it's 4 tvachim long, bolet menakosa lachutz, meaning it sticks out 4 tvachim. So then already hechzik nami beziz shu rochav dalet al dalet orech. Then it could also be a ziz that's 4 wide and 4 long. The kaven dehiniach lo orech shel makam chashav. Once he's already given him the length of a makam chashav, which is 4 tvachim, nisratz lo nami barachvo, he's also going to agree to the width of 4 tvachim. The ein makam chashav pachas dalet al dalet. It's not considered an important location, an important place, if it's less than 4 by 4 tvachim. Once he's agreed to the length, at that amount of length, he's agreed to that amount of width as well. The same would be true also. Let's say it would be a tefach wide, but it would be 10 tvachim long. Lo hechzik kim barachav dalet. He's still only going to get 4 tvachim of width. Avalim hechzik barachav tefach b'meshach gimel. But let's say, for example, he'd have a chazak of a width of a tefach and a length of 3 tvachim. Lo hechzik barachav gimel. That does not mean that he now gets a width of 3 tvachim. Elamasha hechzik v'lo yoser. What he gets and nothing more. This only specifically applies in situations of 4 tvachim. And the Gemara continues at the 2 dots. The Mishnah said, pachos mitafach, if the ziz is less than a tefach, ein lo chazak, it does not establish a chazak of eino yachol limchos, and he is not able to protest. And the Gemara says, Amar Ravuna says, lo shanu ela bal hagag v'bal hachatzer. What we mean to say over here is, the owner of the roof, again this is the roof where the ziz is protruding from, he's not allowed to protest against the Bala Chotzer. Let's say the Bala Chotzer wants to use the Ziz. Aval Bala Chotzer, but let's say the Bala Chotzer, but Bal Hagag, he wants to protest, and the Bal Hagag, he wants to protest against the owner of the roof regarding the Ziz. Yachol Limchos, he actually is able to protest. For Rav Yehuda, but Rav Yehuda says, Afilu Bal Chotzer, but Bal Hagag, even the owner of the Chotzer, when it comes to him protesting against the owner of the roof, Eino Yachol Limchos, he's also not allowed to protest. According to Rav Yehuda, in both directions, they are not allowed to protest. And the Rashbam explains, Amar Rav Huna lo shanu den yachol limchos. When we say he can't protest, that's el bal hagag shehu bal haziz. That's the owner of the ziz cannot protest b'bal hachotzer. He can't protest against the owner of the chotzer. Teinu yachol limchos bo v'lomer. He can't protest him and say al teshtamish beziz shali. You can't use my ziz. Dema hifsid bal hagag. What is the owner of the roof losing? Halo kasheyishtamish b'bal hachotzer v'yisla beziz chafotzer. First of all, when the bal chotzer uses the ziz and hangs his items from the ziz, so lo yereu lebal hagag. He can't see the person who owns the roof. Shareu tachton lo, because he's too far below. V'leka hezekriya. So there's no issue of hezekriya. It's certainly not an invasion of privacy. Now, if you're going to say the issue is that he's using the ziz, and so now the balagag can't use it. Now the owner of the roof can't hang his items from the ziz. That's not a problem. Because again, since the ziz is so small, it doesn't even establish the chazaka. If the owner of the chotzer wanted, he can even cut down the ziz if he needed to. So he can certainly use it when it's overhanging his own airspace. Inami or, says the Rashbam, and here's what the Mishnah means. The person who owns the roof can't make a chazaka. And also, he can't protest on the owner of the chotzer. Let's say the Bala Chotzer wants to put up his own zizin near his wall. Because there is no hezekriya. That's another possible explanation for what Rav Huna means to say. But in the other direction, the point is, Aval Bala Chotzer, the point is that the owner of the Chotzer, Yochol Imchos B'Bal Hagag, he certainly could protest against the owner of the roof. Shalo Yotzi Ziz Pachos Mitefach Betchil. He can protest. I don't want you to put a Ziz over there, even if it's less than a Tefach. Inami Shalo Yishtamish Beziz Shahotzi Kvar. He can even protest and say, I don't want you to use the Ziz that you already put up, Meneshu Elyon, because it's above me, because you're above me. And when you're going to try to hang things from there, that's going to be a pretext you're going to use to look into my chotzer. Vika hezekriya, and that's going to be a hezekriya. Rav Yehuda says, no, it goes in both directions. Not only is the Bal Hagag not able to protest against the Bal Chotzer, but the Bal Chotzer is also not able to protest against the Bal Hagag, Taima Mefarish Lekameh, and the Gemara will explain as it goes on what the reasoning of Rav Yehuda is. And the Gemara continues, Leimo, let us say, behezekriya kamiflagi, that they're actually arguing about the issue of hezekriya. And the Gemara explains, the Mar Savar, that one master holds Shmei Hezek, that it's considered to be Hezek, meaning to say, Rav Huna holds the reason why the Bala Chotzer is able to protest against the Bala Gag is because the person on the roof is able to see into his property when he hangs things on this as is, and therefore that's considered to be damage, so he can protest. Hezekriya Shmei Hezek, according to Rav Huna. Umar Savar, and one master holds, meaning Rav Yehuda holds, Lav Shmei Hezek, that Hezekriya is not considered to be damage, and that's why the owner of the Chotzer can't protest. There's no damage that's actually happening to the Bala Chotzer. And the Gemara says, lo, no, the Kuli Alma Shmei Hezek. Everybody agrees that it is considered to be damage, and in that sense, there would be damage happening to the Bala Chotzer. The Bala Chotzer should be able to protest, and the question will be why Rav Yehuda says the Bala Chotzer cannot protest. And the Gemara continues, V'shani Hachan, it's different over here, Diyomar Le, because the owner of the roof can say, L'tashmishta lo chazi, I'm not really using this ziz in any fashion. L'mai chazi, what is it usable for? L'misla be'midi, I'm just using it, you can hang things on it. So mahadra na'apoi, so all I'll do is I'll turn my face around. V'talina be'an, I'll hang things on it as I turn my face around, meaning to say, essentially the Balagad can say there is no hezekriya in this case, because I'll just turn around, and that's why the Bal Chotzer is not able to protest, according to Rav Yehuda. V'idach, in the other opinion, Rav Huna, why does he say the Bal Chotzer is able to protest? Because Amar Le, because the owner of the Chotzer can say back, Zimnin de Be'isis. Sometimes you might be frightened when you turn your face away, and you'll use that as an excuse, and you really will look into my property, and therefore there is a hezekriya, and therefore the Bal Chotzer is able to protest against the Bal Hagag. And the Gemara continues with the Mishnah, Lo yiftach adam chalonosav l'chatzer ashutfin, a person can't open up his windows into the Chotzer when the Chotzer is owned by partners. And the Rashbam explains, Lo yiftach adam chalonosav l'chatzer sheyesh lo b'shutfis. The point over here is, he is a part owner of this Chotzer. Now he wants to open up from his house an additional window to the Chotzer. He's not allowed to do that, mishum hezekriya, because it's going to be hezekriya. He's invading the privacy of those in the Chotzer, even though he also also is a partner in the chutzner, still it's problematic. The kol shekein l'chutzner chaveru, and as the Gemara will say, certainly he can't open up a window into the chutzner of his friend, which he has no partnership in. Kedem mefarish beGemara, as the Gemara will explain. And the Mishnah continues, Lokach bayis b'chutzner acheres. Let's say a person buys a house and it's in a different courtyard. So lo yiftachena b'chutzner hashutfin, he can't have it open up, make a new opening that it now opens up into the courtyard which he had a partnership in, because again, he's making now a new entryway into that courtyard. That's not allowed. The Rashbam explains, Lokach bayis b'chutzner acheres hasamuch lazeh hachutzner. Let's say there's a chutzner right next to this particular chutzner, and he buys a house in that nearby chutzner. Lo yiftachenu l'chutzner hashutfin, he can't now open it up into this chutzner that belongs to him as a partner. The point is, even though he has some portion of ownership in this other chutzner, what he's now doing is, by making this other opening from this new house into the chutzner, now more people will frequent. They'll go through the chutzner in this fashion. They'll travel through, and that's something that is considered to be essentially a form of damage to the people who own this chutzner. And the Mishnah continues, Bona aliyah agave beso. Let's say he builds an upper floor on his house. So again, lo yiftachen l'chaser hashutfin. Now he wants to make another opening, another entryway from the upper floor right into the chutzner, and it's a chutzner that he is part owner of. Again, he can't do that because he's creating another entrance into the chutzner, which is again creating more traffic in the chutzner. That's considered like a damage. Elim rotza bones acheder lifnim beso. Now, what if he wants to? He could do the following. If he wants, he could build another room inside of his house. Ubona aliyah agave beso. Or let's say he wants to build an upper floor in his house, and then he'll make the entryway in his house. Meaning, if the entryway, let's say, to the upper floor is coming from within his house, that's okay. But if there's a new entrance from the chutzner to that upper floor, that's when it becomes problematic. And the Rashbam explains, Lo yiftachen, again, he can't make this new entryway into the chutzner. Sharei hosef diurin b'chutzner. What he's basically doing is he's adding on. Now there's more residents, essentially, to this chutzner. U'matriach al b'nei hachutzner shamar b'al entries haregel. That's something that's bad for the people who live in the chutzner, because more people are walking there. U'poschol esoch beso. But what he is allowed to do is he can have the entrance be in his house. Tekevan derech pesach shelo yotzin l'chutzner. Since they're actually entering through his door into the chutzner, ein torach l'vnei hachutzner. That's not considered a burden for the people of the chutzner. She'eno mar b'alei and diurin. It's not considered like there's more people who are now residents over here. Uchidem mefarish beGemara, like the Gemara will explain, shelo hosav al beso klum. He hasn't really added anything onto his house. Elachol kol shnayim. What he's basically doing is dividing his house into two. Sharei kol beso yochol amalos achsenoin emirtze. He can have as many people in his house as he wants to. That's not a problem. It's adding, so to speak, an additional house that's problematic. But as long as everything he's doing is contained within his house, that would not be a problem. And the Gemara says, why does the Mishnah need to speak about the fact that you're not allowed to open up windows into the chutzner, which you have a partnership in the chutzner? Even to open up a new window into the courtyard of his neighbor, of his friend, that would also be a problem. He's invading the privacy of the person who owns that chutzner. And the Gemara says, Lomi boy kamar. The Mishnah is structured as not only this, but even in this situation, means as follows: Lomi boy l'chutzner chaver. We don't even need to tell you. We don't even need to say that to open up a window to the courtyard of his friend Delo, he certainly can't do that. That's an invasion of his privacy. But let's say he's opening it up into a courtyard where he's also a partner in that courtyard. So then already, maybe he can say to him, maybe the person making the window can say, Sof, still at the end, anyways, you had to conceal yourself from me when I was in the chutzner. I had rights to this chutzner, and so you always had to worry about that privacy in that sense. And so therefore, what's the difference if I open up a window? And so Kamash Malon, so that's what the Mishnah is teaching us, that the other partner in the chutzner can say back to him, until now, before this window was there, I had to conceal myself from you when you were in the chutzner. But now that you have a window, even when you're in the house, so you're going to be able to see through the window, I have to conceal myself from you even in that situation. And the Gemara continues, Tanu Rabbanon, the rabbis taught, there was an incident where one person, he opened up his windows to the courtyard which he had a partnership in, and he came before Rabbi Shmuel bar Rabbi Yossi. The person was protesting. Amar lo, he said to him, you've made a chazaka, my son, you've made a chazaka. And the Rashbam explains, he was claiming, he opened up these windows into the chutzner, and he was claiming he was doing it with the permission of the people of the chutzner. And so he came before Rabbi Shmuel bar Rabbi Yossi, and he said, you have a chazaka. Savar lo, because he holds l'alter have a chazaka, that's an immediate chazaka. To cave and since he did it in front of them, he made this chazak of a shasak, and the other partners, the other people were quiet. If it was really without permission, the person should have protested. That's what we say in our parak earlier. Who are you following, Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Shmuel, Rabbi Yossi? Diamri called befun of la'alter have a chazaka, because they say if it's in front of the person, it's an immediate chazaka. V'yen halacha kain, but the Rashbam says that is not the halacha. But in any case, that's what Rabbi Shmuel, Rabbi Yossi said, that it's an immediate chazaka that you've made. And the Gemara continues, Ubal ifnei Rabbi Chia, and then the person came before Rabbi Chia, and Amar, and he said, Rabbi Chia ruled in this case. He said, Yagato pasachta, you worked hard to open up this window. Yaga v'sasim, you have to work hard and you have to seal it up. You have not established the chazaka. You're not allowed to have this window. And the Gemara continues, Amar Rav Nachman says, and the Rashbam says, Leich yaga v'sasim, go work hard to seal it up. The lo have a chazaka at shalosh shanim. He was ruling that it's not a chazaka until you have for 3 years, and we will continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Samech Amud Aleph.